It started on a Tuesday, a day so painfully ordinary that I never could have predicted it would be the day my world shattered. I was 17, a senior in high school, and my biggest worry was my upcoming calculus exam. That afternoon, I got a text from my mom saying she was stuck in traffic and would be late picking me up from soccer practice. It was no big deal. I told her I'd just walk home. It was a nice day, and our house was only a couple of miles away. As I walked, I put my headphones on, blasting music to drown out the world. The familiar road felt different today, maybe because I rarely walked it. I was about halfway home when I passed by the Pleasant Stay Motel, a place on the edge of town that always looked a little rundown, a little sad. I barely gave it a glance until I saw a car that looked exactly like my dad's. A dark blue sedan, same model, same year. My heart did a weird little flip. I told myself it was just a coincidence. Lots of people drive that car. But then I saw the license plate. It was partially obscured by a bush, but I could make out the first 3 letters and the last number. It was his. I froze, my music suddenly silent in my ears. Why was my dad's car at a dingy motel in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon? He was supposed to be at his office across town in meetings all day. That's what he told us at breakfast. A cold dread seeped into my bones. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was meeting a client here. But why here? It made no sense. My hand was shaking as I pulled out my phone. I thought about calling him, but what would I say? Hey Dad, why is your car at a motel? The question itself felt like an accusation. Instead, I decided to wait. I found a spot across the street, partially hidden behind a large oak tree, and just watched. Every part of me was screaming to just go home and forget what I saw, but I couldn't. I had to know. For what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 20 minutes, nothing happened. I started to think I was crazy, that I was making a huge deal out of nothing. And then, the door to room 107 opened. A man stepped out, laughing. It wasn't my dad. I felt a wave of relief so intense it almost made me dizzy. I was about to turn and leave, my face hot with embarrassment for my own suspicion. But then, a woman followed him out of the room. She was laughing too, playfully swatting his arm. It was my mom. The world went quiet. The traffic, the birds, my own breathing, it all just stopped. She was wearing a dress I'd never seen before. Her hair was done differently, and she looked happy. Happier than I'd seen her look with my dad in a long time. The man, who I now vaguely recognized as someone who worked in her office building, leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't a quick peck. It was a long, lingering kiss that made my stomach turn. I couldn't move. I was a statue, rooted to the spot, watching my mother get into her car, the one she was supposedly stuck in traffic with, and drive away, followed by the man in a separate vehicle. My dad's car remained in the parking lot. It took me a moment to process what that meant. He wasn't here. She had taken his car. The lie was so intricate, so layered, that it took my breath away. I don't remember walking the rest of the way home. It's a complete blank. The next thing I knew, I was standing in front of my own house, the key in my hand, unable to make it turn. The house that had always been my sanctuary now felt like a stage for a play I didn't know I was a part of. When I finally got inside, the house was empty. I went up to my room and sat on my bed, staring at the wall. The image of my mother laughing, of that man's hand on her back, of that kiss, it played on a loop in my head. It was a horror movie starring my own family. An hour later, I heard the garage door open. It was my mom. I heard her call out my name, her voice cheerful, normal. Honey, I'm home. Traffic was a nightmare. The lie was so casual, so easy, I didn't answer. I heard her footsteps coming up the stairs. She opened my door with a smile. There you are. Why didn't you answer? Her smile faltered when she saw my face. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. I just looked at her. All the words I wanted to scream got stuck in my throat. I couldn't speak, I just started to cry. Not loud, dramatic sobs, but silent, hot tears that streamed down my face. Her expression changed from confusion to concern and then to a flicker of something else. Fear. She sat on the bed next to me. Sweetie, talk to me. What happened? Did something happen at school? I finally found my voice, but it came out as a whisper. The Pleasant Stay Motel. The color drained from her face. I had never seen anyone go so pale so fast. She didn't have to say a word. The guilt was written all over her. She knew that I knew. The silence in the room was deafening. It was filled with everything that had been unsaid for who knows how long. How? She started, her voice trembling. I walked home, I said, my voice flat. I saw you. I saw everything. She started to cry then, covering her face with her hands. Her apologies tumbled out, a messy, incoherent stream of, I'm so sorries and I never wanted you to find out, but her words felt hollow. The only thing I could think was, you're not sorry you did it. You're just sorry you got caught. That night, my dad came home, whistling as he walked through the door, completely oblivious. He kissed my mom, asked her how her day was. She played along, her voice a little shaky, but she did it. And watching her lie so effortlessly to his face, was almost as painful as what I'd seen at the motel. I felt like I was an accomplice. This secret was a heavy, toxic thing, and it was sitting right in the middle of our living room, and only my mom and I could see it. For the next week I lived in a fog. I avoided my mom as much as possible. Mealtimes were excruciating. I couldn't look at her, and I couldn't look at my dad without feeling a wave of pity and anger. The secret was eating me alive. I wasn't sleeping, I was failing tests, and I felt completely isolated. I knew I couldn't keep it to myself. It wasn't my secret to keep. So, I made the hardest decision of my life. The following Saturday, I asked my dad to go for a drive with me. I just needed to get out of the house. We drove in silence for a while, and then I just pulled over to the side of the road. Dad, I started, my heart pounding in my chest. I have to tell you something, and it's going to be really hard to hear. And I'm so sorry. And then I told him everything I saw. I watched his face go from confusion to disbelief, and then to a deep gut-wrenching pain that I will never forget. He didn't get angry. He didn't yell. He just got quiet. He rested his forehead against the steering wheel and just broke. The sound of my father crying is something that will haunt me forever. The aftermath was exactly as devastating as you'd imagine. Our house, once filled with laughter, became a cold, silent war zone. There were arguments behind closed doors, slammed doors, and nights where I'd hear my dad sleeping on the couch. My mom tried to talk to me, to explain, to apologize again, but I couldn't listen. How do you explain betraying the person you promised to love forever? How do you explain shattering your family? They tried counseling, but the trust was gone. It was like a broken vase they kept trying to glue back together, but the cracks were always visible. About 6 months after that horrible Tuesday, they told me they were getting a divorce. Even though I saw it coming, the finality of it was like a punch to the gut. It's been a few years now. The divorce is final. My dad has moved into his own place. He's doing better, slowly rebuilding his life. I see him all the time. Our relationship is stronger than ever, forged in a shared pain. My relationship with my mom is complicated. We talk. We're civil. But that perfect image I had of her is gone forever. I'm trying to forgive her, not for her, but for me. Holding on to that anger is exhausting. Sometimes, I still see her as the woman laughing outside that motel room, and the hurt feels fresh. But other times, I see her as just a person, a flawed human who made a terrible, life-altering mistake. Discovering my mom's infidelity didn't just break up my parents' marriage, it broke up my childhood. It forced me to grow up overnight. It taught me that people, even the ones you love and trust the most, are complex and capable of causing immense pain. And it taught me that sometimes the hardest truths are the ones that set you free, even if they shatter your world in the process. If you're going through something similar, please know you're not alone. The weight of a secret like this is too much for one person to carry. Talk to someone you trust, a friend, a family member, or a professional counselor. Taking that first step is incredibly difficult, but it's the first step toward healing. Thanks for listening to my story.